Well, here we go again. And like I've said many times before, I'm going to keep doing this until I get it right. And I don't mean politically right. You are listening to KPCA LP, Petaluma, California, at 103.3 FM and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. And this is the Midnight Skeptic. The views of the Midnight Skeptic are not, repeat, not necessarily the views of KPCA or any of its affiliates. Okay, this actually is an out-of-sequence show. Again, I've had to include a couple of supplemental shows to the Midnight Skeptic because there's just so much damn stuff happening that I feel morally compelled to toss in my 2 cents worth about. This is Wednesday, the 15th of September, and this is actually the 5th week in a row that I've done a show. Last week I said that I was going to get back on my regular every other week schedule. For the radio people out there, this is going to be broadcast on the 19th of this month. And like I say, this is Wednesday, the 15th, the day after the California recall election, the waste of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of state funds just to run this election, this stupid election. Well, Governor Newsom was not recalled. The no votes were roughly about 64% of the vote, and 36% of the disgruntled Trumpers and vaccine and mask deniers, all of those creeps, amounted to about 36%. So, go to hell, Republicans and Larry Elder. You wasted our money. And Larry Elder was the leading Republican / Trumper / MAGA head that was one of the 46 candidates that ran against Governor Newsom, should he have been recalled. Kevin Paffrath, who's actually a Democrat, a very young Democrat, and he's a YouTube personality. He came in second out of all of those 46 oddballs that were on the ballot. Okay, enough of that. I'm going to, that's over and done with. I don't want my computer or television to be polluted with any more political ads. I'm glad that that's over. Okay, shout outs. East Coast, Geraldine Goldfinger, Dr. David Rubin, Nelson and Alice Lydell, and Amelia Beamer, if you're listening. Take care and don't get rained on too hard over there. You keep getting hit with hurricanes. Okay, swinging over to Arizona, my brother Brandon, his wife Mina, and especially Andrea, the nurse. Wear your PPE, and I hope you're surviving this latest onslaught of the COVID virus. And then my favorite snake lady, brain freeze time, Karina Hilliard, snake removal technician extraordinaire. Okay, swinging up here locally, Stan Gustafson down in Pacifica, and Rich Berger over in Sebastopol. I finally remembered the name of that town without a brain freeze happening. I'm improving. Locally, Tim Conrad and Tom and Nancy Throw, and down in San Francisco, Oh, geez. Let me look up my shout out notes. Yvonne Santos and then Shannon Reed out in Arkansas. I'm going to have to start mentioning her from Arkansas, like halfway across the nation here. And then Nariman here locally. If you're listening, Nariman, thank you. And I'd like for you and your son to get together with me and my son, who is my audio engineer, for another glass of wine outdoors here in Theater Square in Petaluma. Okay. And up in Sacramento, Dave and Rosie Takach. And then Mickey Huff, who is a history professor at Diablo Valley College. And I guess since they are seeing students in person, I guess he commutes from where he is in Sacramento now. He just moved there from Petaluma. And he runs his own radio show. He is the godfather of Project Censored and has his own show here. It's probably in about 20 minutes. It's 2:40 right now on KPCA. You can probably listen to it at 3 o'clock. And it's rebroadcast over at 94.1 FM from Berkeley, California. And got to make this announcement that even though the views of the Midnight Skeptic are not the views of Petaluma Community Access, they certainly should be their views, and they probably are, except that they just won't admit it. And all of its affiliates over there, they are not open to the public yet, and the other disc jockeys and talk show people and radio people, we're all just sending our shows electronically into the station, and their computer there sorts it all out, and they always put my stuff on at 9 o'clock on Sunday nights, and the every other show where I don't have a fresh show, they just repeat the previous week's show. Okay, enough of that. I announced on my Facebook wall or message board or whatever it is, when I announce the general topic of my shows, that I'm going to be running a contest this show. And I am. And the nature of the contest is I found, what started all of this, ideas in my head, and they're fermenting, making all sorts of alcohol in my brain. The Texas odious abortion law that Governor Abbott signed into law, roughly about a week or 10 days ago. I forget exactly the date. But I was researching the origins of the abortion movement in evangelical Christian circles. And I ran across these quotes from Republican politicians. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. Well, the seventh doesn't actually count because that was said by United States Representative Stephen King. Oh, God, what a creep. He was a Republican from Iowa, House of Representatives, up until August of 2019. Anyway, he doesn't count. Okay, so don't bother voting for him. But these others, I'm going to list who they are, where they're from, when they said it, and these have all been vetted. So that they are either captured on tape, or they said this on a radio show or Fox News, and you can look them up. The Midnight Skeptic is always accurate, always, always, always. I will let you know if I don't know something, which may shock a lot of you out there that I don't know everything. I'll let you know when I either don't know or it's not verified. but these are all verified. Okay, let's back up a little bit. The previous show from last week. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, let me pause a moment. For this contest, vote on which of these 6 jerks you think is the worst quote. And send your vote into themidnightskeptic@gmail.com. It's all one word, The Midnight Skeptic, all lowercase. It's not difficult. Also, if you want me to go to hell and you want to say so, say that. Or if you have any suggestions about how I could make this show better, send those suggestions too. I'll read them. I'll get them. I have gotten some that don't bear repeating, but they are all dealt with in the appropriate manner. Okay. The previous show last week about why abortion is now such a big issue, and I want to just briefly go over some of the high points of what I said in last week's show. And I didn't know at that time last week that I was going to be doing this contest, but since I ran across all these quotes, I just have to, it came to me that, hey, yeah, I should have a contest. It's a difficult contest because they're all terrible quotes. Okay. A 1969 poll by the Baptist Standard, that's a Baptist magazine, found that 90% of Texas Baptists thought the state's abortion laws, as they were at that time in 1969, were too restrictive. Whoa. W.A. Criswell, a prominent Southern Baptist pastor in Dallas and a former president of the Southern Baptist Convention, remarked, my handwriting strikes again, remarked in reaction to Roe v. Wade, quote, and he's not one of the guys. This quote is actually kind of reasonable. He said, and this is 1969, remember, I have always felt that it was only after a child was born and had a life separate from its mother that it became an individual person. Okay, I agree with that. So abortion was not always a big issue in Christian circles. I want to go back, before I tell you these quotes, I want to go back just a ways and remind you of the origins of abortion being an issue amongst Christian evangelicals. Okay, how did the evangelical Christian right become so anti-women's choice and opposition to all abortion? What's the history here? What's the history here? Have they always been this way? Okay, those were my leading questions from last week's show. Okay, the answer is no, they weren't. In 1971, 1974, and 1976, 1974 and 1976 were right after the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision. Okay. These 3 resolutions were passed by the Southern Baptist Convention, a gathering of pastors that talk to God. They said that women should have access to abortion for a variety of reasons, as opposed to Texas nowadays. There's no reason. The government should play a limited role in this matter. White evangelicals at at that time saw abortion as largely a Catholic issue. And we all know what they thought about Catholics, a papist cult. Okay, what caused this turnaround to where this is such a galvanizing issue for them? A Supreme Court case, Green versus Connolly, Connally. Okay, he was the Attorney General during the Carter administration. Okay, the issue that Paul Weyrich, who is was a Republican operative and a conservative Christian, he saw, or he wanted to see, some issue that would galvanize evangelical Christians and get them out of the pews in church and into the voting booths to vote for conservative Republicans. Well, they can't say racism or segregation is an issue. That just, even though they think that, it just wouldn't go over as a national issue. Okay, well, what about women's rights, the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment? Well, even some Republican women are in favor of the Equal Rights Amendment, so that wasn't going to work. You remember back in the early 70s, mid-70s, when the Equal Rights Amendment was a thing. And incidentally, the requisite number of states have now passed it. Now, I don't know what the holdup is for it just getting signed into law as an amendment to the Constitution. Okay, that's another issue, another show. The reason that Green versus Connolly is significant in this abortion thing is Green versus Connolly in the Supreme Court, 1971, upheld the decision to remove segregation academies, which are largely down south, from their tax-exempt status because they were segregation academies, okay? Good Southern whites don't want their kids going to the same school as blacks. I won't use the word that Southern whites used when they were talking about black people, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so the evangelical Christian right can't just say, well, we want our segregation academies. That just isn't going to cut it. So Paul Weyrich had to come up with some new issue to galvanize these Christians. Okay, so my notes are kind of out of sequence here, so I'm going to tell you all about Paul Weyrich right now, since he was the godfather of the abortion issue. He was, this is from Wikipedia, an American religious conservative and Republican political activist and figurehead, their words, figurehead of the new right, in quotes. Hey, that was Nick in the background walking around. Hey, howdy, Nick. He's from Scotland originally. I don't hold that against him, though. Paul Weyrich. He was the co-founder of the Heritage Foundation in 1973, along with Joseph Coors. Yes, that Coors, that family that founded the Coors Brewing Company. That's another reason. I mean, it's shit beer. I'm sorry, I can't say that on radio, but it's crap beer anyway. Especially the Silver Bullet, Coors Light. That's just beer flavored water. Okay, anyway. Um, they formulated, this is the Heritage Foundation, they formulated many of Ronald Reagan's ideas and financed Reagan's run for governor of California, this state, and his presidential run. Needless to say, the Coors family was quite wealthy. Okay. And let's see, this is a quote from Paul Weyrich. As someone who has helped the religious right transition to the political process, something akin to Iran translated into Americanization with a faith leader at the top. That was Paul Weyrich's and the religious right's wet dream, that we don't elect our leaders, we have faith. And I imagine that Jerry Falwell would be a candidate for Grand Ayatollah, to the, like Iran is run. Iran has elections. They don't mean anything over there. It's the, I think they call him the Grand Ayatollah, makes the real decisions, political and otherwise, for that poor country. Anyway, okay. So, Paul Weyrich managed to create abortion as an issue for the religious right. He convinced preachers, pastors, and other religious leaders of the evangelical right to start sermonizing from the pulpit about the sins of abortion for any reason. Okay, well, he unfortunately succeeded. In Texas, he succeeded in spades. Okay, here we go. Here are the 6 quotes plus 1/7 from Stephen King. Okay, now, believe me, these Republican creeps actually said these things. Okay, this was said by Clayton Williams, Republican from Texas. He ran for governor of Texas in 1990. And his quote is the one that goes the furthest back, but okay, all the others are more recent. But it's so terrible that I just had to include him. Anyway, when he ran for governor, he lost to Ann Richards. She was a Democrat, in part because of this rape comment that he made that I'm going to be quoting. And he was a Texas oil man, a cowboy. Oh, Jesus. He went around campaigning in his stupid 10-gallon hat. And he was from Midland, Texas. That's where the Bushes are, or the George W. Bush is from. And he died at age 88 in 2020, last year. Okay, now this is what he said. Quote, rape is kind of like the weather. If it's inevitable, relax and enjoy it. Okay, he's talking about women who are being raped. Just relax and enjoy it. He has the mistaken notion, and he's not the only one. Most Republican guys have this same notion that a man's penis inside a woman is all she needs to enjoy sex. All right? That is I'm going to call that Texas thinking. Okay, it of course not true, but this is what he said, and I'm going to repeat it again for the people that are going to, send in their results. I will be repeating each of these quotes twice, just so you can get a feel for what these Republican creeps said. Okay, quote: "Rape is kind of like the weather. If it's inevitable, relax and enjoy it." The creep's name is Clayton Williams. All right, that's quote number one. Okay, number two. This was said by Todd Akin, A-K-I-N, a Republican from Missouri, that fount of enlightenment. He lost to Senator Claire McCaskill when they were running for Senate in 2012. The U.S. House of Representatives until 2013, he lost to Claire McCaskill. He, among other things, he opposes the teaching of evolution. Oh, man. Okay, this isn't the quote that I'm entering into this contest, but he said this, quote, "Abortion easily trumps slavery as the greatest moral evil in American history." Republicans. Oh, jeez. Okay, so this is his quote. "If it's a legitimate rape," well, right there. Okay. "The female body has ways to shut that whole thing," meaning pregnancy, "down." Okay. Well, that's medically inaccurate. First of all, Republicans aren't exactly founts of medical knowledge. But, okay, this other quote about abortion easily trumps slavery as the greatest moral evil in American history. I ran across that one as I was researching him to tell you guys about Todd Akin. Okay, I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to give each of these quotes 2 chances to sink into your minds about how evil and ignorant and dickish these Republican politicians are. Okay, Todd Akin's quote again: "If it's a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to shut that whole thing down." And he was referring to pregnancy. Okay, that's quote number 2. All right, quote number 3 coming up. This is by Rick Santorum. He was a senator, Republican, of course, senator from Pennsylvania. And he said this on January 20th of 2012. Let's see. He was a senator from Pennsylvania from 1995 to 2007. I guess he served 2 terms in the Senate. He ran for president in 2012. And so I guess in his campaign for president in 2012, he was captured on camera or a recording of some sort saying this. So it's out there. This is what he said. Ran for president 2012 on a Republican ticket. He lost the nomination in 2012 to George Romney. Boy, I would like to find some actual quotes from Romney. He can't be a big fan of equality for women. Okay, anyway, I'm riffing again. Okay, he embraced himself as a cultural warrior. He was anti-gay, anti-abortion, anti-evolution, and he's condemned the term middle class. Why? He calls it Marxism talk. He said the U.S. has no social classes. And that's not a quote. It's a distillation of his thinking about, the middle class. The U.S. has no classes. Okay. He is anti-contraceptives, and his feelings are, or were back in 2012, hopefully they've changed, his ideas, I mean. The climate is not changing. It's not warming up. Okay, here's his rape quote. Quote, "Rape victims should make the best of a bad situation." Rick Santorum, he said this in 2012 on January 20th. Look it up if you don't believe me. The Midnight Skeptic is always honest and as accurate as I can be. Okay? Rick Santorum. And here I'm going to repeat the quote again. "Rape victims should make the best of a bad situation." That's Rick Santorum, Republican candidate for president. Okay, how am I doing on time? Let me look here. Yeah, okay, I've got plenty of time. Okay, now here's, I won't say which of these quotes, in my opinion, is the worst, but here's certainly a candidate for that. Okay, this was said by Richard Murdoch. That's my hello. Yay, Dan. Good. I'm kind of right in the middle of recording my show. I'm talking to you right now. Have you guys made a decision on the what? Yes. Of course it's insane. Okay. All right. Sorry for the interruption there. My son and I'll talk later. Okay. So the conversation, such as it was, is going to go out live. All right. It's a little extra treat for my listeners out there. Okay, where were we? Okay, Richard Murdoch, Mourdock. He was a Republican from Indiana, and he was in the Indiana House of Reps, or whatever they call that house. He ran for Senate in October of 2012. Okay, he was an Indiana treasurer, okay, and ran for Senate in 2012 with strong backing from the Tea Partiers. Okay, he lost to Joe Donnelly in Indiana, and he got his BA from Defiance College, which is a United Church of Christ affiliated college. Okay, here's what he said in October of 2012. Oh, man, this is difficult to read over the air, but he said it. "Even when life begins in that horrible situation of rape, it is something that God intended to happen." Oh boy. Okay. I on other shows I've said over and over again that I am a humanist, atheist, agnostic, whatever you want to call me. I'm telling all of my listeners right now, unequivocally, there is no God. So whatever this creep believes about, his theological beliefs. He voiced it right in this quote, and I'm going to read the quote again. Even when life begins in that horrible situation of rape, it is something that God intended to happen. Oh, man. Okay, that was quote number 4. Okay, quote number 5 coming up. Who said this? Okay, Lawrence Lockman, Lockman. He was a Republican from the state of Maine. And let's see, one of the guys that he kind of idolized was that governor of Maine. Oh, geez, I should have written the governor of Maine's name down. Anyway, he ran for state senate of Maine, the state senate, not the U.S. Senate, and he was a member of the House of Representatives of Maine, and he ran for state senate in February of 2014. And one of the things that he campaigned on when he was running for state senate was he was warning his constituents about, quote unquote, a secret gay affirmative action plan. Well, what the hell could he mean by that? Okay. Anyway, that just gives you a window into this creep's mentality. Okay, now here's his quote. And it's pretty bad, so hang on to your linguini. Okay, if a woman has the right to an abortion, comma, why shouldn't a man be free to use his superior strength to force himself on a woman? At least the rapist's pursuit of sexual freedom doesn't, in most cases, result in anyone's death. Oh, God, these Republican creeps. Page, that was the governor of Maine, who he was close friend of. God, what was the guy's first name? Governor of Maine, Page, Paige. He was as goofy as you can get as a state governor. He gives Governor Abbott of Texas a run for his money. Okay, I'm going to repeat the quote. And Lawrence Lockman, Lockman, said this, February 2014. If a woman has the right to an abortion, why shouldn't a man be free to use his superior strength to force himself on a woman? At least the rapist's pursuit of sexual freedom doesn't, in most cases, result in anyone's death. Oh, man. Okay, that was quote number 5. Okay, are you, all my thousands of listeners out there, are you writing these down to cast your vote? All right, quote number 6. This is a relatively short quote, and it was made by a woman, and I'm stretching the definition of woman to include her. Okay, it was Jody Laubenberg, and she, of course, is a Republican, as all of these creeps were, from Texas. She was House of Representatives in June of 2013 when she said this, quote. I'm going to say the quote now to show you her ignorance. In the emergency room, they have what's called rape kits, where a woman can get cleaned out. Okay, all right, I'll repeat this again, but the ignorance that she displays is just breathtaking. I'm going to take a deep breath after that one. Okay. She was educated, and I don't know in my searching whether she actually got a degree, but she went to the University of Texas at Austin. They're a good college, and to get into there is kind of a something to be proud of. But okay, she did not run again in 2018 for the Texas House of Representatives, but while she was in the Texas House of Representatives, she was chairman. Are you ready for this? Chairman of the Health Committee. Oh, man. Okay. You all know what a rape kit is. A police or the hospital takes a swab from the woman's vagina who is claiming to have been raped, and it goes into a little plastic envelope and sealed up and given over to the police investigators to be used as evidence should the rapist be arrested and he claims, oh, no, I didn't. Okay, well, a rape kit is evidentiary in nature. It does not clean a woman out. She's confusing a rape kit with a DNC. D and C. And I'm having a brain freeze right now on what D and C stands for. Dilation and I'm not sure what the C stands for. It's some medical term. But anyway, a rape kit and a DNC are not the same thing. Okay. Jody, are you listening? Okay, I'm going to repeat her quote again. And she said this in June of 2013. In the emergency room, they have what's called rape kits where a woman can get cleaned out. Well, even if that were true, I guess in her mind, that makes it all okay. Okay, still enough time here. Okay, this is something that was said by Stephen King. This is kind of a bonus. It's quote number 7. Don't vote for him. He laps all the other idiots. Stephen King, God, U.S. Representative from Iowa, another fount of intelligence. Okay, quote, if not for rape and incest, would there be any population left? Okay, he said this. He's a Republican creep. Okay, let me just quickly go over these again. And for those of you who are maybe filling out your ballots, I'm doing this for you people, all of my thousands and thousands of listeners out there. Okay, quote number 1, rape is kind of like the weather. If it's inevitable, relax and enjoy it. That's quote number 1 from Clayton Williams, the Texas oil man. Oh, Clayton, you big hunk of Texas oil man, you. Okay, quote number 2. If it's a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to shut that whole thing, in other words, her pregnancy, down. That was said by Todd Aiken, Missouri. He lost to Claire McCaskill. Okay, that's quote number 2. Okay, quote number 3. Rape victims should make the best of a bad situation. That was said by Rick Santorum, Republican of Pennsylvania and presidential candidate. And in 2012, Mitt Romney was nominated for the presidency. He was beaten by Barack Obama. Okay, that was quote number 3. Excuse me. Okay, quote number 4. Even when life begins in that horrible situation of rape, it is something that God intended to happen. That was said by Richard Murdoch, Republican of Indiana. Okay. Oh, boy. Okay, that was quote number 4. Quote number 5. If a woman has the right to an abortion, why shouldn't a man be free to use his superior strength to force himself on a woman? At least the rapist's pursuit of sexual freedom doesn't, in most cases, result in anyone's death. Okay, that was quote number 5. Okay, quote number 6 again. In the emergency room, they have what's called rape kits, where a woman can get cleaned out. And that was said by Jody Laubenberg, Republican of Texas. Oh, boy. And she actually went to college at University of Texas at Austin. Okay, my thoughts about the education you get there have been lowered precipitously. Okay, and she was chairman of their health committee in Texas House of Representatives. Okay, those are the 6 quotes. One of those is going to be the winner. Send in your votes to themidnightskeptic at gmail.com. I'll get them. Okay. There's a couple of odd items that I want to go over. Let me reiterate again that California's recall election, we retain our governor, and let's see, what was it was about 64% don't recall him, 36% do recall him, and Larry Elder, why don't you just crawl back under your Republican rock and don't bother us with your presence anymore. Okay. This is from Reuters, Reuters. That's the news aggregation company, like the Associated Press. Okay, just a competing news place. They identified more than 100 threats of death or violence made to U.S. election workers and officers as part of an unprecedented campaign of intimidation inspired by the orange sociopathic bloatbag's false claims that the 2020 election was stolen. Stop the steal. Okay, there's going to be another gathering, supposedly, on this coming Saturday, the 18th, at the Capitol again. That's why they put the fence back there and alerted law enforcement, Capitol Police and Washington, D.C. Police. On the next Midnight Skeptic show, I will talk about that, how successful in their eyes it was or not. And hopefully, like I said, this is the 5th Midnight Skeptic in a row, weekly. I want to get back on my schedule again where I do this every other week. And because it's the last 5 weeks have been kind of like homework. Geez, I'm retired. I don't want to do this every week, but for the benefit of my thousands and thousands of listeners out there, I'm sacrificing myself. Okay. Okay. There's a bill winding its way through the California state legislature that plastics and other manufacturers will be prohibited from using the recycling symbol, which I'm sure you've all seen it. It's those 3 wide arrows with a pointy arrow kind of arranged in a triangular shape. It's called the chasing arrows, which means recycling, which means whatever that's stamped on, the thing can be recycled. Well, that's not always true. Our wonderful manufacturers who are trying to greenwash their products stamp this thing on a lot of their products, mainly plastics and bimetal cans and other packaging objects. They're not all recyclable, but manufacturers will stamp that on there, trying to sell a handful more of these things to people who just want to do the right thing. Okay, I'm off riffing again. Okay, plastics and other manufacturers will be prohibited from using this symbol, the triangular chasing arrows, unless the product is truly recyclable. The inherently evilness of capitalism, and I don't really think that, but I'm just mouthing off, is what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, they use this symbol, and they shouldn't. Okay, Senate Bill 343. It was introduced on February 9th of this year. And let's see, it was amended on May 24th, just, I don't know, a couple of months ago, in the state Senate. And it will get voted on eventually. Okay, who is against this? Okay, well, of course. The Plastics Industry Association and the American Chemical Council. Those are the two trade organizations that are funding lobbyists to speak out against this bill. So, in other words, they are for deceiving consumers. They're evil. These two organizations, the Plastics Industry Association and the American Chemistry Council, I'm telling you, they're evil. Okay. All right. I'm getting there. This is 52 minutes. Okay. This is something I saw online on Facebook, and science. Okay, this is a quote, and there was a little cartoon figure of a rocket going to a planet. Science flies you to the moon, comma. Religion flies you into skyscrapers, meaning the twin towers back in New York that were flown into by religious zealots. And in their case, it was Muslim religious zealots. There are religious zealots in every religion. The only, and I haven't thoroughly researched this, but I'm going to research these for some future show. The Sikh, S-I-K-H community, most of them wear turbans and everything. I don't think that they're infested with zealots or fundamentalists or evangelical Sikhs. They show the rest of us how to live properly by their own proper living. Now, I could be wrong. There could be a handful of religious zealots in the Sikh community, but I haven't run across any. And unfortunately, when the Twin Towers were destroyed by the 15 Saudi Arabians that flew these planes into our Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and then the ones that didn't make it that were in Pennsylvania. A lot of Sikhs were swept up in the American mind with Islam's. Well, they're not Islamic. They have their own beliefs, and as far as I can tell, without delving into it deeply, they are a very peaceful people, as are the Jains, Jains. And again, that's an unresearched opinion of mine. Oh, okay. And, okay, a quick shout out to the Freedom from Religion Foundation. I'm seriously thinking of joining that group. One of Reagan's sons, you see him on the commercials now and then. Ron Reagan, his name. He advertises this foundation, and he always ends it by saying, "I'm Ron Reagan, an atheist, not afraid of burning in hell." Okay. And I forget how the rest of his commercial goes for this, but I'm seriously thinking of joining the Freedom from Religion Foundation. If any of you out there are curious about this foundation, go to ffrf.com. Look them up and see if they might be something that you would be interested in joining or supporting, or I am. Okay. If I am, then all of you out there should be. Okay, I'm going to play my out music now. After a round of applause from my thousands and thousands of listeners out there. You have been listening to The Midnight Skeptic on KPCA LP, Petaluma, California. And we're at 103.3 on the FM dial and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. Support community radio at patreon.com/Petaluma Community Access. And remember, think critically, think logically, but live joyously, and most importantly, pet your cats. Okay, that's it. And I'm going to tell you right now that I'm not going to do a show next week. I've just got to get back to my regular schedule and do it every other week. So with that, I will bid you all adieu. My time thing on my screen here says it's 58 minutes. So that's all that KPCA LP 103.3 give me before they cut me off and have their own announcements and things that they have to say. So at 58 minutes, I am cut off. So I'm going to click the stop recording button and send the show into KPCA and download it to YouTube. So goodbye until 2 weeks are up.